Joining us now, Hank Burdine. He's the board member with the Mississippi Levee Commission. Good morning, Hank. How are you today, sir?
Good morning. It's gorgeous up here in the Mississippi Delta. These combines are throwing smoke everywhere trying to get these beans out. We've about got all the corn out, and they're greasing up the cotton pickers. So we just need to get started around here in the Delta with the cotton harvest, and the grain harvest is really coming along.
Awesome. Well, last time I traveled through the Delta, Hank, was back in June, and gosh, the fields en route were all flooded, underwater, the cotton, the beans, etc. Give us an update on that. How are we doing?
We had a major series of spring storms come through here, as we well know. A lot of them got replanted. Some of them through that swath that got hit really hard. We lost them for this year's crop, but everything else is coming along good. The only problem we're having right now that's being alleviated, of course, harvest time is at the low water season on the Mississippi River. So every time we have a high water event, the ports, the mouths of the ports going into the river seem to silt up a little bit, and we got to spend money going in there and dredge those mouths so we don't have to light load these barges. We can go ahead and load these barges full to capacity and get them out in the river, get these grain bins down where we can continue to send this harvest to the river and get them on down to New Orleans and to the world. So right now, we are doing pretty good. We're dredging Rosedale Port. We've dredged out to Greenville Port. So the river business is rocking along. Everything doing pretty good right now. We just back from Washington as the levee board soliciting money to continue this MR&T project along. We hope to receive about $380, $400 million next year. But there's a lot of water from St. Louis all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the main thing we want everybody to realize and understand right now, the problem we have during the springtime with flooding, and, of course, with our backwater flooding, we've got to continue to look at that. We're at a very crux time right now with the EPA has been granted till November the 30th. We look at this backwater project. The American Rivers, along with the Sierra Club, Healthy Gulf, and the National Audubon Society have filed a lawsuit to try to stop this project, even though in the hands of the EPA it is a new project. They're looking at it, and we'll have until November the 30th to continue to review this project. So we want to thank our congressmen. Cindy Hyde-Smith, Roger Wicker, and Benny Thompson have all jumped up to the forefront and really doing all they can to help the EPA and the Congress understand the necessity of this project. And it's a new project. We've got a much better project. It's got everything environmentally plus on the whole thing. So, man, we really at the end run right now. We got to get this thing pushed through.
Well, so these environmental activist groups that you cited there, Hank, have they actually filed lawsuits to block some of this, to keep us from moving forward?
They filed a lawsuit back in January, and it's in the courts right now. But what American Rivers and the rest of them, none of them have been up here. Mm-hmm. They're from way far away, and they're money-driven operations, and they say pumped, and everybody starts saying, oh, no, we can't have that. But what American Rivers, none of them understand is that you got to look at also the environmental injustice that's going on down there. Without these pumps, 94% of the homeowners are minority homeowners. They are being kicked hard by not having these pumps. The environment is being kicked. The wildlife is being decimated down there. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think these environmental groups got to understand is they say, oh, well, look at the little pondberry down there, the pondberry bush. It's going to destroy that. Back in 2007, 2008, the Corps identified over almost 190 sites where the pondberry was flourishing down in the South Delta. Since we have not had those pumps, And the flooding that we've had, because we've not had the pumps, there are only 65 sites left that has a pondberry growing on it. Pondberry cannot grow under 10 feet of water. Why can't these groups get their head out of the sand? Definitely not in the mud, because it won't come up here and stick their head in the mud or their boots. Why can't they see that? They just cannot and will not come up here to look at it on the ground and see what's going on.
All right, so let me get this straight. You're saying these folks, these activist groups have filed lawsuits to block some of this, and they've never actually been in the area? They've never seen it?
To my knowledge, none of them have been. Mississippi Wildlife Federation has been up here. They're fully supportive of the project now. Mississippi, the Mississippi Parks, everybody is full on board, seeing what this thing does, seeing what this new project does by moving the pumps, by the capture of water quicker, and by installing 34 low water supplemental wells during the low water time that we are having right now, to put water in the sunflower, to put water in the bogue, to put water in the quiver. These types of rivers will sustain wildlife during low water times, will help the mussels, will help the aquatics. In other words, these streams will have dried up.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they see and understand that? Simply because they don't want to. They get more money by saying, pumps, they're going to drain the wetlands. Bring your butts down here and look and see what's really happening, and then I would hope they would understand.
Yeah, it sounds like it's all financially motivated. I think you're probably right about that. But let's pivot a minute. So how's the harvest looking? I mean, you started out by talking about that. What are you hearing on the ground there from the farmers, let's say this year relative to last year or prior years?
Well, I don't know that much about relative to last year. I know that we've got some mid-delta farmers that got hit hard with the horrendous rains that came through. But everybody else, you're never going to get a farmer to say that everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going? Well, it could be better. But they have a lot of them are having great yields. The prices are stabilized and are in pretty good shape right now. Once we getting these beans out and the corn's out, they're whooping this dirt up. They're getting it rolled up. They're getting their wintertime stuff put out that needs to be out. And they're in pretty good shape. We don't need any bad rain systems coming through here now, because the bean harvest, I'm going to say, is 30-40% complete maybe. Now, that's just me looking around.
Yeah.
Harvest is just fixing to get started. They're defoliating some of these crops, and the cotton fields I've seen are they're beautiful. I mean, it's just the Delta's rocking right now. Let's hope it's going to keep on.
Yeah. Well, I pray for these guys as well. As you know, that represents about 35, 36%, maybe even a little more than that, of our economy does agribusiness, and the Mississippi farmers are a big part of that. The weather has been somewhat devastating as it was in the spring, and I honestly, in driving through there, I just scratched my head, and I'm not an expert on this subject, but how do they recover from that when you see that kind of standing water in the fields in June when they're trying to get the crops up?
Well, that's true, and you were right at the crux point where you had to get those fields dried out. You had to get what cover crop was on there originally, the corn stalks off, to try to replant with late beans. Well, a late bean crop never does that good anyway.
Yeah.
So a lot of those fields that you saw were not replanted this year, and hopefully we'll be able to next year. Now, next time you come up here, give me a call. I'll jump in the car with you, and we'll ride around. I'll show you some stuff.
Love to. I absolutely would enjoy the visit and sharing and learning from you with your expertise. I don't think anybody knows more about water movements, water trends, water risks than you, my friend.
Well, with my sticker on the car, I may even get you up on top of the levee and let you have a little levee ride, see what it's really all about.
That'd be awesome. Hank, always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Hank Burdine, board member of the Mississippi Levee Commission, has been our guest. We're going to step away for a break right here on Middays, and when we come back, we got more.